Back again, man. So, the importance of parenthood, man. So, one of the reasons why society is where it is today is because of how parents are raising their children and us. You know what I'm saying? So, it's quite if this today's society is based on what they're telling people based off of money. So that's how the world was built. We get that. And parents raising their children or child on how to become successful, having a career, it's good. It's a necessity. But also at the same time, you have to ask yourself, like, are they giving them the tools to be in a healthy relationship and how to deal with life's ups and downs? Don't get me wrong. There are parents that are absolutely doing the best they can, regardless if it's one parent or two parents, or even the grandparents. Because they can only teach us based on what they know from their childhood. So with that being said, I would think that it's also important to have, to reflect, on your life as an individual. You know what I'm saying? And in this case, as a parent, because at the end of at the end of the day, man, your children are a reflection of you. Your life is a reflection of you, but mainly, your children. You know what I'm saying? So if your children or child is out here playing games and ghosting people or disrespecting people and all this, the first people who I'm going to look at is not that individual, but the person's parents. Because quite, clearly, they didn't teach them a fucking thing about respect or discipline. So it's absolutely a necessity, to reflect. Because I've said it before and I say it again. If you don't want it for yourself, why the hell would you want it for other people, man? So in a way, the environmental society has played an effect on how we think and act. Regardless if it's social media, the newspaper, your job, or TV. There's a reason why it's called television. Tele is transportation. Vision is what you see. Programming. So your mind is being programmed. I'll never forget when Eddie Griffin said that shit. I was like, yo, he's spot on. You know what I'm saying? So, again, man, I don't think, certain parents out there, notice I said certain, not some, not all, but certain parents out there know the importance of themselves and how they project and act and speak, because their children are watching this, they're seeing this, they're hearing this, and depending on how the parent or parents act and behave, it's not good. Because now the children are going to go out there and display that same behavior that the parents were doing and projecting. So you really have to look deep down within inside of yourself, and when you do, you start to change certain thinking patterns or thoughts within your mind. Um, what's going to happen is that the reality, your outer world is going to change right there in front of you. We do this all the time, like, regardless of what it is, we just, you know, just don't notice it. You feel me? So parents just like me or anybody else, just people in general, I would think that you should take the time to reflect back, but make no mistake, like I said from before, there are parents that are out there that did the absolute best to their fucking ability, especially knowing that they didn't have the best of childhoods. You know what I'm saying? And they accepted that they did certain things or taught certain ways of behavior or thought patterns to their children that was not good. And they made that effort out there and they put in the effort to change that. I don't think people really understand how hard it is to change certain thought patterns, like speaking, because you got to remember, man, you got millions and millions of people here who were here before us. And so there's a society out there, or multiple societies that have certain thought patterns and behavior patterns. You know what I'm saying? So that doesn't do nothing but continue to the next, to the next, to the next. So we're talking about decades of thought patterns that you had to get rid of. It's not, just a one and done task. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes practice, just like healing. Healing is not a one-time thing. I'll never forget when, I met a damn good friend that told me about that. She was like, no, this is a journey. And it took time, for me to think the way I do now and to act the way I do now, and China wasn't built in a day. It took time to build that. So don't be so much in a hurry to rush the process when it comes to, the healing journey. And that goes for anybody out there. But parents, man, it's an absolute necessity, especially with y'all, because if you are doing no good out there, man, your children are going to do the same thing. And not only that, it's a high possibility they could be on the receiving end. They can meet people out there who means them no good, and they would cheat your own child like shit, and then you're ready to fight. So, and then there's certain parents out there who don't want to acknowledge that what they did was wrong. And it's like, yo, look at how the way your children are acting and behaving and how they're speaking. Go look at their relationships and the type of people that they are constantly put into their life. It's a reflection of you. But not everybody wants to do that, and that's fine. Again, I can only speak from my experience of what I've seen, what I've learned, but even if, anybody out there that doesn't believe me or whatever, just take the time to sit down and just reflect and look back on your life. You know, you may just find that what you thought was normal or healthy wasn't healthy at all. You know what I'm saying? And from the moment you see that it wasn't healthy at all, you're going to start changing. You feel me? You know, slavery was, it was normal. Does it make it right? Fuck no. You know, but y'all take it easy out here, man. Now be safe out here, yo. You know, there's certain individuals who do not mean you well because they know that you're a genuine good heart person, like speaking of it, yo. They could care less about you, and they will continue to hate on you, and that's fine. Let them, because that if anything, that should tell you something. It should tell you that you're doing something right. Anyways, man. Well, love to you, man.